Warning, what you're about to hear is half-baked and highly inaccurate. These are the thoughts of a bored driver navigating the streets of life. Welcome to The Daily Drive.
Hey guys, it's Jacob with TCP. This is going to be episode 1 of what I'm affectionately referring to as the Drivecast. So my job, I kind of drive around for most of the day, really. Probably spend 4 to 5 hours every day on the road. And I've come to realize that I do a lot of thinking while I'm driving. And a lot of these thoughts don't ever really come out because, you know, me and Chase, we're on different schedules and we haven't really been on the podcast as much as we should be. And we're sorry for that. We're trying to get back to it, but I don't know. All this shit in the news with Cuba Gooding Jr. As the latest one to fall victim to allegations of sexual assault. And man, it just seems like nowadays we're forgetting the definitions of things. Whether it's racism or sexual assault or sexual harassment, I don't know. Like in his case in particular, if I'm not mistaken, he met this woman in a bar, and they hit it off, start making out, and while they're making out, he grabs her breast. Okay. Now I don't know how you guys do things, but that's pretty fucking standard for how I operate typically. And then she proceeds to hit him with, you know, sexual assault claims, like it was forceful. Here's the difference, okay? If they're making out and he grabs her breast and she tells him no, or it moves away, or in any way dictates that she does not want that kind of interaction, and he proceeds to do it, that's sexual harassment, that's sexual assault, okay? If they're making out and he grabs her breast and she says nothing about it and then hits him with a sexual assault claim, that's fucking horseshit. That's someone who knows that he's a celebrity and is looking for money. We've gone too far in the wrong direction with this bullshit. And it's the same when it comes to racism. Everyone wants to be so fucking fast to say, that's racist. That's racist. That's racist. Like, racism is something that we very rarely see in our day-to-day lives. Okay? We see discrimination, sure. Is discrimination racism? No. Okay? Discrimination can be against anyone. It can be against any gender, any nationality, any race. It doesn't matter. It can be against anyone for anything. It can be against blonde-haired, blue-eyed fucks like me. That doesn't mean that someone's racist. And for you to sit back and just constantly throw out the race card is it's like the boy who cried wolf. It just takes away from the meaning of it. Everyone's terrified of being called a racist, but anymore it's just like, oh, well, who isn't called a racist nowadays? Fuck, I mean, me and Chase got called racist for the podcast. I don't know. But I guess when it comes down to it, anybody can say anything they want. And that's, I mean, one of the best parts about this country. I mean, look at me. I'm driving around with a red Chrysler 300 tailgating the fuck out of me and talking to my phone like some kind of fucking idiot. But I'm off work today. And it's a sunny day. Stopped raining finally. So, I think it's a good day. You know what's kind of funny is sometimes in our lives we see things or even smell things that take us back to a special time, or even if you didn't even realize it was a special time in your life, it kind of, I don't know, just snaps you back there. And for someone with a shit memory like I have, that's kind of a special moment for me. The other day, I was walking, I think I walked into a gas station, actually. And I smelled a smell that I don't know why, I don't know how, but it took me back to like 6th grade. I was sitting on the school bus playing with tech decks. Anybody that went to middle school around the same time as I do know how fucking cool tech decks were. And it was really weird, because if you ask me to recall that memory, I mean, I could have never done it. I would have never thought twice about that exact moment in my life. But that smell brought it back. And I had the same kind of thing happen with the song Airplanes by Gary Allan. But I don't know. It almost makes you think that your brain is kind of, I mean, obviously it's a neurological path that leads to everywhere you've lived, but it's memories of memories from what I've been told or what I've read. I don't know. I wish that I wasn't 22 and couldn't remember shit from my life, depending on it. But I guess that's just how it is sometimes. You get the cards you're dealt. But overall, I think that a lot of people in this world are unhappy at their own hand. I see a lot of people bitching a lot, especially people my age. And my entire generation should just be the generation of fucking mental illness. Nobody in my generation seems to have their shit together. I mean, that's a broad generality, but it's like the minority of people now for you to be normal, like not have anxiety or depression or anything. And I wonder how much of it is caused by a lack of purpose. Purpose is something that, hell, I'm not sure if I even have. I feel like a lot of people get purpose when they have kids, and I wonder if that's kind of the correlation between why I don't know if everyone else is like this, but I know a lot of people, including myself, why we have this kind of internal drive once we hit a certain age to have kids. And it could be for reproductive reasons, but it also could be for a sense of purpose. I'd be interested to see the rates of depression before and after childbearing. Just a small sense of purpose, something bigger than yourself, something to wake up every morning, something you have to do. A lot of people kind of meander through life. They don't pick a course. They don't know what they want to do tomorrow. They don't have a job, or if they do have a job, it's something that they fucking can't stand going to every day. I think we've all been there. Fuck, I know I have. That kind of thing, waking up and dreading going to work, dreading even just putting your shoes on, dreading seeing the building, dreading hearing your stupid fucking coworkers every day, dreading your boss breathing down your neck, just so you can continue living. It's a heavy burden sometimes. And I've talked about this many times on the podcast, that it's kind of funny how we're the apex species. I mean, we're the ones that are doing the best, arguably anyway, in this life at the current moment. Anyhow, we've kind of shaped the world around us to fit us and suit our needs, and we've got it figured out. But with that comes this diluted, watered down, PC, safe, bubble wrapped fucking version of reality that we've surrounded ourselves with, that grown adults can't stand to hear fuck, can't stand to hear someone not agree with them, can't take criticism. They can't do basic functions and experience basic emotions without feeling threatened or attacked. And I truly think that is 100% a product of having no actual threats in day-to-day life. for anyone who's experienced loss, I think you can relate. A lot of times in our lives, we get into arguments. We have disagreements with people, and we think that it just means so much. I mean, it pisses us off. We fucking hold a grudge. We think about it. You get in the shower 30 minutes later, an hour later, whatever, and you're going over it in your mind, and you're saying, oh, I should have said this. Oh, I should have said that. Regardless of who it's with, if it could be literally, it could be your worst enemy. It could be someone you've hated your entire life. Maybe they beat you up in grade school and you haven't been able to move on. If that person were to die in a car wreck suddenly, tragically, even if they were just to die slowly, I don't guess it really matters how they die. But if that person were to die tomorrow, you would feel remorse and you would feel guilt for holding that grudge against them. I think most people would. I know when I lost my mom, me and my mom didn't have, a perfect relationship by any means. I was a stubborn teenager, and we fought all the time, as most, teenagers do. I knew it all, right? And it makes me reflect on that moment, because I know, that it doesn't matter how big the argument was. It doesn't matter, if I got pissed off because she yelled at me. None of that matters in the grand scheme of I miss my mom, and I would do anything to have her back. Even if having her back for 5 minutes means an argument for 5 minutes, I would love every bit of it. And I think it's the perspective of not only our culture, but also we have this sense of entitlement in my generation. And it's kind of just this melting pot of, most kids' parents nowadays want to be their friend instead of their parent. And that perpetuates into my generation now having kids wanting to be a friend instead of a parent. They think that everything's owed to them. They think that they shouldn't have to work for anything because of the exact reasons that I've previously mentioned. Just not wanting to go to work. Hate every minute of it. You live so that you can work, and you work so that you can live. And it's this kind of hamster wheel trap that we've all found ourselves in, almost purely for materialistic purposes. It's kind of wild how someone who lives in a $1 million mansion could be on the same type of week-to-week budget or week-to-week pay as someone who lives in a $200 apartment per month. It's all about appreciating what you have, and it's all about budgeting. And as you make more money, it doesn't mean that you have to get a bigger house or add more debt. And I think that's something no one really understands, especially my age, until you kind of went through it yourself, I think. But again, I mean, how the fuck are we supposed to know that shit when, all through school, it was, things that would never help us in real life. I'll still, for the life of me, never understand why it was required that I play dodgeball for PE, but not understand what a credit score is. I mean, how many of us graduated without understanding basic things about life that we needed to know as adults? Taxes, credit score, oil change, how to fill out a fucking W-4. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes it's almost like you're under-equipped for the things you're about to jump into, but you don't really have a choice. And you either sink or swim. And it seems to be commonplace now that not only do we sink, but we try to drag others down with us so that we don't have to take the responsibility of sinking on our own. It doesn't have to be our fault for sinking. And it's kind of funny as I'm talking, it's almost playing devil's advocate, because I see both sides of every point that I bring up. Obviously, being in my shoes, seeing what's wrong, and also living through it myself, it's a little bit of the pot calling the kettle black, if you will. But I don't know. Who am I to say, I guess? Another thing, completely off topic, but with all these states now legalizing weed, or is it 11? I think Illinois just legalized it. I don't understand why it hasn't been legalized federally yet. You would think that they would see, oh, holy shit, this thing is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Colorado's already moved on to shrooms. Colorado was a good sample test. And I think it's a test that they passed with flying colors, not only in tax revenue, but also in, they looked at the DUI rates and things like that. I don't know. It's weird that the government even has the right to tell us what we can and can't put into our bodies as grown people. I've always kind of thought that I don't think any drugs should be illegal, no matter what the drug is. Making things illegal, it's a slippery slope, because first of all, you're never going to get rid of it. People, if I want to go get heroin right now, I'm sure I could find heroin. I'm sure. Now, if I wanted to get meth, I know there's at least 1 or 2 counties around here that has an ample supply of it. I think ultimately it comes down to, do you or do you not want to do those drugs? And for the majority of people, the answer is no, I've got shit to do today. But for those people who want to do that drug, you making it illegal is not going to stop them from doing that drug. Sure, you might eventually throw them in jail, and now you have a potential taxpayer sucking resources out of our system instead of paying taxes for putting something into their body at their own will in a free country. You know, things like marijuana and psilocybin, completely harmless until you make it illegal, until you force it into kind of the shadows, so to speak, until you let the cartel, not even willingly let the cartel, of course, but they're gonna take control of it if it's illegal. And now you've got hundreds of thousands of dead bodies on your hands because you made a plant illegal. And they're still going to produce it because now it's more expensive than ever. You outlaw something and it gets more expensive. It's just how it works. It doesn't go away. Nothing you make illegal will ever go away. So I've seen 100 bills introduced to the House to ban suppressors. Suppressors will never go away. You can make a suppressor out of a fucking oil can. You can make suppressors out of a lot of different things. So, by restricting basic liberties, by restricting things that you're scared of because you've seen them in a Hollywood movie, it completely exaggerated as to how they actually function like a suppressor. You're not abolishing them. You're not getting rid of them by any stretch of the imagination. All you're doing is just kind of getting it out of eyesight. You're just kind of pushing it into closed doors. And you're perpetuating a cycle of violence that harms and destroys families and people and relationships. You could argue that, some of the drugs, like harder drugs, obviously do the same thing. They destroy families and relationships, and they absolutely do. But again, it's a personal choice in a free country. And it's weird to me that as advanced as we are, as many big problems as this country has on its hands, we still choose to focus on small things that really don't add up to anything. I wonder if that stems back to the basic level of my generation that I've been speaking about. The basic, I want it, so it has to be this way. I don't know. I'd be interested to see. I mean, I know what is it? Norway? No, it's one of those weird countries I can't think of the name of. Because a dumbass sometimes, but I know that they have institutions where people on like heroin and some of the harder drugs can go and get heroin for free. They have it administered to them. I think it's like a limit of twice a day, something like that. And they've seen heroin use decrease rapidly through that program. And I heard this interesting podcast the other day, and it was talking about how they did a test with rats, and they put heroin, and they put 2 water bowls in the cage with the rats. One of the bowls had heroin in it. One of the bowls just had water. And the rats that would be in just a completely empty cage by themselves, with no source of happiness or camaraderie, would go to that heroin bowl consistently and abuse that drug as a means of escape. However, when the researchers added in a wheel for exercise, added in a couple of companions, added in basic things that we all want in life, those rats consistently chose to drink the normal water, including the rats that had previously drank the heroin water. I think it all stems from personal choice. We all want an escape, whether it's alcohol, whether it's exercise, whether it's food, whether it's drugs. It's something that most animals want, not just humans. To escape from, again, the 9 to 5 rut that we've dug ourselves into. I think as we continue to shape the world around us and we continue to perpetuate this cycle that we've been in for at least the Industrial Revolution, so a couple hundred years, I don't know that we'll ever solve the issue of happiness. I don't think that will ever solve the issue of suicide rates unless we make a drastic change to how we operate as a society. It's a scary thought. It's a big thought. It's a thought that seems out of reach. But who knows? Maybe one day we can get there. I don't know what that would look like. I don't know what all changes would have to take place to get there either. But I guess there's only one way to find out. Well, guys, I'm pulling up in my driveway now, so until next time.